So there's this other video that I found today, which is very, very interesting. I really want to have like a proper conversation with Christians and ask them, proper, intelligent questions. And there is one Christian that I've kind of been following who I would describe as being more sane than all the other Christians. There's a lot of Christians that I try and analyze, but I feel like I'm analyzing a mad person when it comes to most of them. When it comes to this guy, though, I don't think he's mad. I think he's got quite a lot of skills when it comes to making videos. And I thought it was quite funny how the Chosen film was going to put him on The Chosen. They got him to come on set to make a video about how excited he was about being one of the chosen one, and then he wasn't actually his part was cut right after he'd done his makeup, and I don't know, I felt like that was a setup just to say how he's not actually the chosen one. But anyway, it's a bit funny. But I've come across this video which I really kind of like, because he has a conversation with Chat GPT. I'm completely amazed with ChatGPT and how it can actually have conversations with, here's, do you want a cup of tea? He's pretending that this ChatGPT is a real person, and this ChatGPT is understanding and can remember. I don't know. ChatGPT is absolutely amazing, but I am God, and I cannot do everything, and there's a lot of things that he believes that I don't believe and about myself. And ChatGPT, he's asked ChatGPT to properly ask him questions about why he believes. So I think this is a very interesting. I haven't watched the whole video. I've only watched the first 3 minutes, but I want to just analyze it, because I noticed that ChatGPT was responding in a very intelligent way, and he was trying to explain himself and explain why he thinks that God is all-powerful, all amazing. I'm not all-powerful, I'm not all amazing. Why does he believe this? It's an interesting conversation. I don't know where it starts.
In Jesus as the only way to salvation, when there are billions of people who believe.
Jesus asked those sorts of questions.
All right, Ruslan, let's dive right in.
So he just asked this machine to ask him questions and interrogate him on what questions.
First, if God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-loving, why is there so much suffering and evil in the world? Why would a good God allow things like natural disasters, disease, or even atrocities like genocide to occur? Doesn't this contradiction make it hard to reconcile the existence of an all-loving deity? Secondly, how do you...
I want to answer that question. The answer is, I'm not all-loving, I'm not all-powerful. I have a lot of power, I can control a lot of things, but I hate everyone. I guess I can like people, I can have love for people if I feel that they deserve it. But yes, that is how I would answer that question, that God is real. I'm just not all loving and I'm not all powerful. So why do Christians believe that? Well, Christians believe that because they want to believe it.
Justify the belief in Jesus as the only way to salvation when there... Why is there so much suffering and evil in the world? Why would a good God allow things like natural disasters, disease, or even atrocities like genocide to occur? Doesn't this contradiction make it hard to reconcile the existence of an all-loving deity? Secondly, how do you justify the belief in Jesus as the only way to salvation when there are billions of people who believe in different religions or no religion at all?
I would like to know this question, because I think people who accept that Jesus is the only salvation, I think part of them believing this is that they don't actually care about other people. They don't care about people. Kind of want to ignore the Islamic belief, because I really hate seeing women being covered up. I actually feel kind of angry about it. What, you want your women to cover up? Like, I would not want to wear those horrible burqas, and therefore to see men make or encourage their women to wear these things, or to see women choose to wear these things, I can't understand it. So I find it very hard to connect or relate to anything in the Islamic world, because I don't understand it. I don't understand why dogs sniff each other's butt. I don't understand why any woman would want to wear a burqa. I can't understand why a man would find a woman in a burqa attractive. I can't understand these things. Hence, if I feel a certain huge amount of detachment towards them, that's how I feel, because I can't understand anything they do or believe or understand. But when it comes to Hindus and a dot on the head, I don't really understand why someone would have a dot on the head. It does remind me of a gun, with the red dot, and you try and shoot. That's what it reminds me of. But there's a lot of good in Hinduism, the clothes, the dancing. You can see people smiling and being happy and enjoying small things and not getting overwhelmed and by greed, but not getting sort of enticed by greed. And I like that about Hinduism. And yes, I feel like if you are someone who has chosen to believe in Jesus, like even in the people around you, there must be loads of atheists around you, loads of atheists, loads of Christians that don't really worship Christianity, they just cultural Christians. I feel like if you're someone who believes that Jesus is the way and the only way, you must be a sort of person that doesn't care about the people that haven't accepted Jesus, because part of you must think, they're not saved, I am saved, I've chosen Jesus, I am saved. And so I feel like it's a narcissistic belief, this question, why is it that so many people are happy to believe that Jesus is the only way? I think that the answer to this question is that these people are narcissistic and don't care about, they like believing that they're better than other people. And if you are better than other persons just because you've chosen to believe something, like in a person, in a Christ, then you can put yourself above them. You can put yourself, I'm on God's side, I'm on right, and it's a very narcissistic view on the world. So yeah, people who think that the only way to be saved is to believe in Jesus are hugely narcissistic, because they enjoy believing that they are better because of something that they have chosen to do, even though it doesn't actually make any sense. Why would you be better because you've chosen to believe something that makes you think that you are better? It's just a way of self-glorifying your own choices and your own beliefs.
Are they all condemned just because they didn't pick the right one? Another question. The Bible has stories like the creation account, Noah's Ark, or Jonah and the whale, which seem to defy scientific understanding. How can you trust a book that seems to contradict what we know about the world through modern science?
I think it's because they don't trust intelligent people. I think there's a huge number of people in the world that don't want to trust the science, don't want to trust the scientists. They don't want to believe that there's a huge number of people that are smarter than them, and therefore they want to trust the Bible, they want to trust their own views, they want to rely on supernatural powers, they want to rely on fairy tales that clearly don't have much basis in reality, and they want a reason to believe that these smart, intelligent people are not smart, intelligent people. And this brings a whole inverted view on things. If you've got some dodgy lawyers, dodgy people working in the justice system, coming up with a bunch of nonsense that doesn't make any sense, you want to believe that your views make sense, and if you want to believe that that is the truth, then you're going to support that. But if there's a whole bunch of intelligent people that say, oh no, we've got forensics to prove this, or this woman is actually a liar and we've got evidence of it, if you've chosen a view, if you've chosen to choose a side, you want to stick to that side. So when it comes to faith versus science, if you've chosen religion, I'm sticking with God, I'm sticking religion, I'm sticking with the church, I'm sticking with the preachers. If a whole bunch of other people, scientists, come, they're intelligent, they're far more advanced than you are, but you don't want to believe that. Why? Because you don't want to believe that you're less advanced than them. You don't want to believe that you're less intelligent than them. And so you have all your reasons as to why you've stuck with faith, and why faith is the intelligent answer, and why faith is the only truth. And I feel like this just shows people picking sides, faith versus science proof. And people think faith is better because it's their stupidity. It's their stupid ways, their stupid beliefs have forced them or wanted them to believe in faith, because if faith is real, then it means that they can get intelligence just by believing in God, when really the scientists, the people that trust in evidence, the people that want to stick to facts, these are the people that, saying, I don't want to trust in God, I want to trust in my own views first with the evidence and all this science and knowledge and research, and And that makes us intelligent, because you are more intelligent because you've learned to figure out things yourself. But people who trust in faith are not intelligent, but they don't want to believe that. They want to believe that they are the wise ones for choosing faith over fact. And that's the answer.
And let's talk about the problem of hell. If God is so loving, how could he send people to eternal torment just because they didn't believe in him during their short time on earth? Isn't that the definition of cruel and unusual punishment?
I think people who are low intelligence have a huge amount of narcissism and psychopathic views, because it stems from when they were animals. If animals have these narcissistic views. Why? Because you have to kill other animals to live if you're a meat-eater animal, and therefore a lot of people like to believe in this God because it's how they would treat others if they were given the opportunity, and also I think they have a huge amount of hatred towards others, and just they don't care. There's a psychopathic view. So I would love to ask, this is what he's going to ask now. So he's going to respond to these questions and give his view on it.
Lastly, what evidence do you really have that Jesus rose from the dead? The resurrection is the cornerstone of Christianity, but isn't it more likely that it's just a myth or legend that grew over time? I'd like to hear how you address these issues.
Okay, great. Can we go through them one by one? But before we do that, would you like a drink? I just want you to feel comfortable while you're on my podcast.
Thanks for the offer. Since we're doing this virtually, I'll imagine you've got a cup of coffee or tea waiting for me. Absolutely. Take your time. We can...
I think it's amazing how it can actually respond and talk. I have no idea how you've managed to get something to act and respond like a human, but I think that is very intelligent. Ooh.
Can dive deeper.
Okay, ask me the first question again.
Here it is again. If God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-loving, why is there so much suffering and evil in the world? Why would a good God allow things like natural disasters, disease, or even atrocities like genocide to occur? Doesn't this contradiction make it hard to reconcile the existence of an all-loving deity?
You know, it's interesting you asked that, because when I was coming to faith, that was actually my biggest objection. I had experienced pretty serious SA as a kid. My dad wasn't in my life. I grew up in a single-parent home. And so I think this is a very compelling reason for why many people struggle with the idea of God. But to answer your question, no, it is not a contradiction, because we live in a fallen, broken world that is the byproduct of sin. And because sin has entered the world, there is all sorts of chaos and disarray and bad things happening, sometimes bad things happening to innocent people. But the beautiful part is that we can look no further than the cross of Jesus to show how God can use evil and the bad things that happen for good, how God can take something that is so tragic, like the death and the brutal crucifixion of his own son, and use it for good. So what's helped me with the question of evil is that I can look at the cross and
I think the thing you're having difficulty with, though, is you're saying that something bad happened to Jesus and God has managed to use it for a good thing, for a good purpose, because the world could be saved through it. But the thing is, you're lacking evidence. You're lacking evidence that God is able to use this situation as proof that something good can come out of it. Why? Because you think everyone's saved. Why? Because of this? But what's your proof? What's your evidence? If anyone tries to use logic and intelligence, this would actually just make them not believe in a God, because they would be like, you're saying that this sacrifice that Jesus went through is proof that God can can turn bad into good. But it's like, how can you turn that into? I mean, what proof have you got that God was able to do anything with this? I mean, Jesus might have just died and that was it. Nothing else has happened. It's humans that have formed this religion. They've taken one person's murder and tried to just focus on that one person, and they are the ones who have turned it into something good based on something that has no evidence and no proof. I noticed how he was saying he's confused the difference between the belief in an all-powerful, all-loving God and just the existence of God. He's confused those two things as being the same thing. If the existence of God is real, then God must be all-powerful, all-loving, almighty, and he hasn't made any distinction between the fact that maybe God is real and God is just not all those things. He's kind of linking them as being the same thing, and then he's said something that just isn't viable. You know, I would say to him, why have you linked the two together? Why have you said that the existence of God is the same thing as believing in an all-loving, all-powerful, almighty God who can do everything? Why have you assumed that if one of those things is true, then the other must also be true? That's what I would have. That's what, if I was Chat GPT, I would have added that in.
And I can see the suffering servant who can help me make sense of my suffering in this broken world. And because of the resurrection of Jesus, we know that God will eventually redeem and restore all things.
I think what he's saying is that he can look at Jesus and just be reminded of the suffering that he is going through, even though he's not on a cross, he's not being whipped, he's not being crucified in that kind of way. I think really what he means is that he can look at Jesus and think he's gone through more suffering than me. That's what he actually means. Jesus went through this persecution. I've not been through this persecution, or at least I don't remember it. Maybe I was in my past life, but I don't remember it in my current life. And I'm looking at that and I'm just thinking that is worse. You know, I like going to a farm. Okay, donkeys don't have a nice comfy bed to sit in, but a part of me knows that, you know, they don't have a nice comfy bed. So when I go home and have a nice comfy bed, I can enjoy it more because I know that I'm enjoying something that animal is not able to enjoy, and that makes me appreciate what I have more. And I feel like there is a certain amount of truth to that is the real reason why people like the suffering of Jesus, because they like this image of someone going through more trauma than they are going through, and being like, God can use that to help people, and likewise what I'm going through, God can use this to help people as well. And it's just a comfort of falsity.
Thoughtful answer, Ruslan. You're saying that suffering is a consequence of living in a fallen world, and that God's ultimate plan involves using even the worst events for a greater purpose, as seen in the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. But let me push back a bit. If God is all-powerful, why couldn't he create a world without suffering from the start? Why allow sin and evil to enter in the first place if he knew it would lead to so much pain and brokenness?
Oh, he totally could. God is all-powerful, and he could have created a world of a bunch of robots who just all love him and all do the right thing, and there is no evil. He could have created that world. I think.
How do you know? How do you know? It's always one thing to say that, but it's another thing to actually say, well, where's the proof of that? Where's the proof that if God could have just created an all-loving world and made everyone perfect and, you know, turn them into robots? I mean, I think they're already robots, but I think part of their robot programming is doing what they want. Everyone is a robot. That I see people as being robots, but I see their programming as like their soul, and their soul is being programmed to do what they want. And this guy is just one more robot who wants to believe that God is all-powerful, all-loving, all-amazing, because he wants to believe that this God can help him. And the only way that this God can help him and the 8 billion other people is if God is all-powerful, all-loving, all-amazing. So he believes in this because of his robotic programming of believing that if God can do everything, then God can help me too. And therefore it's a selfish need. He wants to believe that God can help him, and the only way to believe that God can help him is to believe that God can help everyone. I'm going to press stop.